got 30 years to spend 5 for probation. You know, if the judge got sentenced to 30 years, you know, he'd be freaking out.
I don't think about the days, I just go day by day. Like, I go by each meal, like to try to be good on each meal.
I've never heard of such a thing. 12 years old, we're gonna treat him like an adult. It's just ridiculous.
25 years I couldn't comprehend, wrote a goodbye letter to my family, and hung myself.
Behind every crime headline is a mountain of tragedy for everyone involved. Wabash Valley Correctional Facility in southwest Indiana is a vault for these headlines. 2,100 prisoners locked up for everything from rape to murder. Wabash is also unlike any other adult prison in the state of Indiana. It's home to a cell block of 53 kids, sentenced as adults, who aren't even close to being ready for what lies ahead.
I'm Colt Lundy, and I'm 15 years old. It's overwhelming just to know that there's people in here that can be like my grandpa, so it's really quite odd. Because everybody calls me youngin', and I'm always treated like, well, I'm like a little kid. On the news, they made it sound like I was just horrible, you know, like cold-blooded. My crime might seem like that, but like I'm not the person that they may think I am from reading something. Like I'm way different than that.
15-year-old Colt Lundy is at the start of a 30-year prison sentence for conspiracy to commit murder in the shooting death of his stepfather. He and a 12-year-old accomplice were caught in Illinois after the boys fled in the victim's car. What would drive two kids, neither of whom had ever had a brush with the law, to commit such an unthinkable act? Reports show no real explanation, and neither boy chose to talk to us about the specifics of the crime.
I got 30 years to spend 5 for probation. I never thought I could actually go to like prison. I just thought the worst would be probation or boys' school, but you don't realize until after the fact that every decision you make, every choice has a repercussion, whether good or bad. And you just need to keep that in mind because, you know, this can happen to you. The worst thing for me is, like, when you look outside, like, it's dark outside, you know, and you look up at the sky, it's, like, totally black. And then I see the razor wire, the brick buildings and all that, I'm just, like, thinking, wow, like, this is really prison, you know? Like, sometimes it just hits you. Like
sometimes it feels like a dream. It's like it's not real.
Home no more.
No, it's definitely not home.
Teenagers like Colt Lundy and his roommate are not alone. Across the United States, nearly 10,000 kids under the age of 18 are serving time in adult prisons and jails.
About a month ago, somebody got stabbed in the mouth. They tried to stab him in the neck, but they missed, got him in the cheek.
The CO got stabbed too, right?
No, he got hit with a lock sock. And a lock sock.
That's the prison weapon, the lock sock.
Lock your sock, put it in a sock, and then you tie it. You would tie it right here so it doesn't come out. Then put another sock around it so it doesn't rip. and you got a weapon. This is deadly.
Saw a lot of people in here get hurt.
Died too. In Westville, some guy not too long ago just got beat to death with lock socks to death.
In Indiana, all kids sentenced as adults are incarcerated in the youth unit inside the massive Wabash compound, with adult prisoners kept separate in neighboring cell blocks. The young offenders are isolated from their adult counterparts. Kids eat here, recreate here, and go to school here. For most kids, time literally seems to stand still.
This is like your whole life. I've spent 5 months in county, and if they would have let me out then, that would have been enough wake-up call for the rest of my life.
But once a youth offender turns 18, they're transitioned out of the youth unit and into the adult population, either here or at one of Indiana's 21 other adult facilities.
I'm nervous, you know. Nervous. I'm gonna go to a section with guys that got life, you know, 2 life sentences, 3 life sentences, not coming home that really don't care about life, which I do. I care about life. Anyone be nervous. They can act tough and all that, whatever. They can say whatever they want, but they be nervous.
My name is Miles Folsom. I'm 17 years old, and I'm incarcerated at Wabash Valley Correctional Facility. I didn't care about anything. I started marijuana at the age of 7. I personally think that I'd become an alcoholic. I would only drink hard liquor, and I was 13, and then I turned 14, and we were just partying all the time. When they sentenced me to 36 years, I was speechless. I just looked in awe as the judge walked out of the courtroom.
At 16, Miles was sentenced for felony robbery and criminal confinement charges. He still keeps a local newspaper headline from what he calls the worst day of his life.
As the reality of facing a lengthy prison term set in late last week, 16-year-old Miles Folsom went to the bathroom at Porter County Jail, carved "I'm sorry" on his chest, and attempted to hang himself. He was rescued before he died and was well enough Friday to be brought over to the court to tell the judge he is a changed man. Porter County Deputy Prosecutor Cheryl Polaric said that she did not buy the change of heart, and the claim was not enough to overcome the young man's lengthy and violent criminal history. Porter Circuit Court Judge Mary Harper sentenced Folsom to 36 years behind bars. Even 25 years I couldn't comprehend, and I wasn't thinking clearly, and it really hit me. And I wrote a goodbye letter to my family and hung myself. Another inmate had heard noises or something from me gasping, and he had found me and called for the police. And finally, they got me. They picked me up and pulled, because there was a slip knot, and they pulled it from around my head.
Some might find it hard to reconcile the Miles in the newspaper story with the Miles inside Wabash. Folsom is one of the highest performing students in the youth unit and serves as an educational tutor for new kids. Soon to be 18, he's earned his GED in prison and also has a coveted job on the kitchen and cleanup crew.
I mean, this is prison. I mean, you can only do so many things, but if you do nothing, then you become nothing. I started writing kids on the outs. They were in a group called RISK that I used to be in that I failed, and to tell them what it's like for me in here, because there's many open cells, you know. One day they could come walk in, and then I don't want to see that.
At night, when you don't have anything to do, that's really when it gets to you. Like, you just think like all the things you could have been doing on the outside, everything that you're missing out on.
It's hard to wrap your head around the different types of kids at Wabash. From Colt Lundy, a 15-year-old with no history in the system, doing 30 years for conspiracy to commit murder, to 18-year-old Robert Beeler, serving a 2-year sentence for battery and threatening to kill a police officer.
My name is Robert Beeler. I'm in Wabash Valley. I'm in CCU for a fight.
Beeler is at the start of a 3-month stint in segregation.
We was playing cards. We got into it, and he smacked my face with the cards. So I ran up on him from the back, hit him a couple times. Then he's on the ground. I started kicking him.
So what brought you to Wabash in the first place?
I wanted to see my brother, though, because he's in a juvenile block. So I got in trouble just to come here.
You got in trouble on the outside to get arrested so you could come to Wabash to see your brother who's already here.
Yeah, it didn't work out that way. They moved him. The day before I got there, he went to the dog block.
What's your first memory of getting in trouble or doing something bad? Do you remember how old you were?
I was 9. I was at school, and I got in a fight. So I grabbed a chair and I threw it at the teacher. And he tried to grab me. I grabbed his watch and I split his wrist open. So they locked me up and sent me to juvenile. And I liked it.
When it comes to kids and punishment, the question needs to be answered. Do kids, no matter what the crime, belong in adult prison?
It's a complicated issue just because of the fact that they are still juveniles, so they're still young in mind and body and spirit and everything. And yet they have committed some pretty serious crimes against society. The natural reaction, particularly for a kid who's going into an environment like that, they learn survival skills. And it's not a positive learning environment either.
You just gotta basically rely on somebody in here that you can halfway trust, because you don't trust anybody in here. Nobody. Other than that, you're on your own.
And we're standing by whenever you're clear.
For 15-year-old kids coming in that have 30 years to do, what I would tell them is what the guys told me when I came in. Users and abusers are all over this place.
32-year-old inmate Greg Ousley knows what it's like to be a young kid serving hard time. At the age of 15, Ousley was convicted for the murder of both of his parents. He became the youngest person in Indiana history to be sentenced as an adult. At that time, there were no separate facilities for younger offenders, so Ousley was placed directly into the adult population.
I had some guys try to tell me, don't tell them you're 15, tell them you're 17. I'm not a liar, and first guy asked me, he was, you look kind of young, how old are you? He was cutting my hair, I said, I'm 15. And he stopped me, he's like, what? You know how quickly that spread throughout that prison? Yeah, I mean, people wanted to be my bunkie at that time for the wrong reasons. It's ugly. It's ugly. It's a sick environment.
He was 15, and I remember him coming in the cell house, and I remember pulling over talking to him, and he looked so young. He still had that baby face type of thing, you know.
Prison Superintendent Mark Sevier knows Ousley well. Sevier was superintendent at Wabash 18 years ago when Ousley first arrived. Both are now at the Miami Correctional Facility in Kokomo, Indiana. Sevier still remembers the tense discussions that took place as staff members prepared to put an 8th grader in a cell with an adult offender.
That facility is all two-man cells, and you don't have a choice. You're going to live with someone. The leadership of the facility, we got together, and we screened who was going to be in there with him. We've got a duty to protect everyone as best we can, and we tried to gear him in a direction to be a positive direction for him.
It was scary for sure. You're tense all the time. You know, I felt tense, and I've never been to prison. In the worst case scenario, what if I have to defend myself and do things I'm not supposed to do just to protect myself? How do I explain that to my family? Kids that are coming in, you know, it would be, it's rough. I feel sorry for them.
Here in just a minute, 3 offenders will be coming in. We'll be processing them into the facility. Two of them are the youth offenders.
All right, boys, come on.
Iverson Shepherd, 179-656.
All right, down on the rocks.
We'll put all your clothes in these bags here. Put your shoes in this bag, your clothes in this bag. All right?
The majority of them are quiet, not knowing what to expect in this environment. It's totally different from where they came from.
Like at first when you get here, you're just nervous because you don't know how it's going to be like. And the uncomfortable level is just like 9 or 10, like all the time.
Hold the sign right here below your chin.
On any given day in the United States, more than 10,000 kids under the age of 18 are held in jails and adult prisons.
Go.
Today, 17-year-olds Aaron Gabriel and Harrison Shepard become two of these statistics.
This is actually a shit, dude.
You guys ready?
Yes, sir.
You can't even imagine on the outside what it would be like.
Hey, dude, we're in prison, bro. It's crazy, ain't it?
Yeah. It's a whole different outlook, man.
Yeah. Home sweet home.
Never call this place home.
They come to prison think they gotta be tough.
Yeah, they gotta
And
prove
don't.
themselves to somebody, but you
gotta,
don't.
You just gotta be yourself.
Right there in 101.
Shit crazy, dude.
This is it.
Yes, sir, man.
This is home, man.
I need to be punished for what I did, and I'm never going to take that away. But it shouldn't have been just punishment, because it isn't like I just walked out into society and just took some random person. There's a reason this happened, and I'm not justifying it, but I'm saying there's an understanding behind this. I mean, I've been locked up for 18 years, and I've still never had a chance to get the counseling for why I killed my mom and dad. If everyone has such a great opinion now, you know, the community, well, you need to be locked up. Where were you before? Where were you, in school? I'm showing all the signs. Where were you then? So.
My name is Michael Stanley. I'm 18 years old, and I'm in Wabash Wiley Correctional Facility. I've been here 11 months. I didn't see, a lot of people, murder, you feel me? People with, a lot of high crimes, a lot of time, and, I just thank God every day that, you feel me, that I got the time that I got, because I wouldn't know what to do if I had, 30, 50, 40 years, so.
And what are you in for?
Robbery.
Michael Stanley and Aurelius Woods are both serving 3-year sentences. The teens are best friends and cellmates in the juvenile block at Wabash. They could be shipped out to the adult population at any time. Woods is set for transfer first, but no one knows for sure when or where he and Michael will go.
It's going to feel different to be with somebody else. So I've been with bros for a long time since we got locked up, so it's going to feel different. But wherever he go, wherever I go, we still hold it down for each other. So as long as he all right, I'm all right.
But you think you're leaving first?
Yes, ma'am. I've been 18 the longest, and I've been approved since December. And I can leave any time now.
Are you nervous for him?
I ain't gonna say I'm nervous for him, but I just want the best for him. So.
Are you nervous for him?
Nah, I ain't nervous for him. I already know that he gonna hold his ground, say to himself, and get home like I want to get home to his family, I'll do anything I can to keep out of here. Keep out of trouble, locked up, period.
After the headlines fade, it's hard to know where life begins again for victims of crime. It's also hard to define the new meaning of life for the perpetrators who caused all the pain. When they're convicted of children, that pain takes on a whole new meaning.
I was kind of scared because I didn't know where where my environment was going to be and everything.
12-year-old Paul Gingerich is one of the youngest kids in Indiana history to be sentenced as an adult. Paul was a friend of Colt Lundy when the two boys fired 4 shots, killing Colt's stepdad in his northern Indiana home. Paul was sentenced to 25 years in the Wabash Youth Unit, but due to his age and size, Department of Correction officials made a bold decision and placed the 7th grader at Pendleton Juvenile Correctional Facility, a maximum security prison which only houses juveniles.
He's not our first murderer here, but he's not the typical thing what you'd see. You just saw the paper and you expect a much larger, scary kid, and that's just not the case with him. He's kind of a little guy. Even for his age, I think he's kind of a little guy. It's hard to imagine someone that age being in that position.
Had you ever been in juvenile?
No. This was my first time.
Gingerich's age and lack of criminal record caught the attention of Monica Foster. an Indianapolis attorney who's taken on his case pro bono. She's appealing Paul's adult sentencing and fighting to keep him in a juvenile facility.
He's never had a juvenile referral. Never a juvenile referral. I've never heard of such a thing. 12 years old, we're going to treat him like an adult with 0 juvenile referrals. To treat a 12-year-old as an adult is for the system to say, we give up on you. There is nothing that we can do to rehabilitate you. And to me, that is selling the justice system so far short. And it is selling a kid like Paul so amazingly short. It's just ridiculous.
Monica and Paul's mother, Nicole Gingerich, hoped to keep Paul in a youth facility with programs geared towards his age and developmental needs. But as it stands now, Paul will transition to Wabash as soon as officials feel he's matured enough to make the move.
I think that he should be held accountable for the part that he had in this. And I would suggest counseling, therapy, and programs to help him.
Mike Dempsey has other reasons for wanting to keep Paul in the juvenile system.
The fact is, you can't put a 12-year-old child in that type of environment and expect them to have half a chance. You just can't do it. I think that there are probably some adult offenders who sincerely want to try to do the right thing and help. Yet there's a lot of predators out there as well who will eat the weakness up. They can get into trouble very quickly. Serious trouble. I mean, life-endangering type of trouble.
It's different than what I thought it would be. I wasn't expecting the razor wire. Sucks. You don't want to come here.
There's a lot of hurt feelings that happen with these cases. So understand when people are out there and they're angry and they're hurt. Somebody needs to pay for that, but not just one person. You don't mean you throw this kid away either, because kids just don't wake up one day and say, oh, I'm going to kill somebody.
And a lot of people may think that, this is a good place for them and lock them up and throw away the key, but it's just not that simple.
Miles Folsom is at the front end of his 36-year sentence for robbery and criminal confinement.
When I took the plea bargain, I had a maximum of 60, and that's what they tried giving me. That's what the prosecutor recommended. I ended up with 36. I could get out of prison, so many years from now. I'm going to be old, I'm not going to have a family, no house, no car. I mean, it sucks, sometimes, having to live in this cell and be here. But the more you think about it, the more it just brings you down. I turned 18 in 1 week, and it was told to me that either on my birthday or the next day, they'll be transferring me over to the adult side.
I say Chow's running late.
Officer Maggie Miller is used to dealing with a range of emotions that accompany the transition to the adult population.
They don't say a lot about it. They don't tell me a lot about their feelings, of how it is to transition. But you can tell that some of them do get very nervous about it.
Just moments after talking with Maggie, her comments were a chilling reality for two of the boys she's known the longest at Wabash, Michael Stanley and Aurelius Woods.
It all hinges on when they finish chow. It's when they'll move you over there, but they want you ready.
M-House a good unit?
Yeah, Anna's a pretty good unit. Usually pretty quiet. Yeah, and it's working now. Like I said, so they work. They're tired.
Is it as big? Because I know next door is bigger than this.
Oh yeah, it holds up to 200. 100 to the side, 2 to the south.
Well, basically, my counselor came and talked to me, and he told me that I'm supposed to be transferring to a different block today. I think at 12:45. So basically, I'm just getting paid. Talking to my roommate. Guess I was the first one up to go, so I ain't really mad about it though.
As it turns out, Stanley won't be transferring to another prison with his best friend after all. He'll be staying at Wabash instead.
It's gonna be cool, dog.
Later today, Stanley will walk through the massive prison gates to his new adult cell block. He'll make the move with someone else he knows, Youth Unit cell house mate Alexander Rankin.
I hope the transition is smooth. See, I know being who I am, I'm gonna be talking to everybody. I gotta be associated with everybody, and he does too, so hopefully he just follows my lead, because I know how to conduct myself around adults. You know, it's gonna go pretty smooth. Pretty smooth.
For the past year, 15-year-old Colt Lundy has lived his life behind adult prison walls at the Wabash Valley Correctional Facility.
Like afterwards, I couldn't even believe myself, like what happened. How could I possibly be in this situation? You know, I went from like A's and B's student to like in jail. Like I didn't even know what to think at the time. Every day I just think, if I just would have, you know, like just done one thing different. I mean, it's a waste of time to do that because you can't. Once it's done, it's done. There's no going back.
Lundy's 12-year-old friend, Paul Gingerich, was sentenced to 25 years in Wabash for his role in the crime. But due to his age and size, Department of Correction officials placed him in Pendleton Juvenile Correctional Facility, which only houses youth offenders.
Most of the kids that we get in our juvenile system are going to be here for 6 to 12 months tops. So I think that takes on a different dynamic when you have somebody like Paul, who is 12 years old, who already knows or recognizes the fact that he's going to essentially have to grow up, go through puberty and adolescence in a correctional facility. I have to say that in those particular cases, the juvenile facility is the one best prepared to help him through that type of growth.
It's for precisely these reasons that Paul and his lawyer, Monica Foster, continue to fight to keep him in the juvenile system.
Well, we're trying to go to the Indiana Supreme Court to get an appeal so I can get waived down to juvenile again, hopefully change my sentence.
Sentenced as an adult but held at Pendleton Juvenile, Paul is stuck in a type of legal limbo.
This is the first kid we've ever had who is a legal adult in a juvenile facility. So we're learning as we go because we never had to deal with this and what his situation brings to us. I mean, technically we can keep him up until he's 21. We could do that. I don't imagine we'll have him until he's 21, but no one has really made that decision. We haven't crossed that border how long he'll stay here.
I think the juvenile justice system is fully capable of dealing with this situation, and in fact, they are fully dealing with it right now. He is in the juvenile justice system. If the judge's order stands, he won't be here for very much longer. But he's thriving in this system. He's doing terrific.
Where'd that attitude change come from?
Having worked in prison systems for many years, Mike Dempsey knows special steps must be taken when dealing with young inmates.
There is a child involved, regardless of the offense that they may have committed. I mean, you still have to weigh the fact that, you know, this is still a 12, 13, 14-year-old child, and they are not fully developed. You also have to weigh that against, you know, the nature of the crime that was committed. It becomes very difficult.
Along with the possibility of being moved to an adult prison, Paul must grapple with the reality of spending at least the next decade behind bars.
I don't think about the days. I just go day by day. Just try to make it, like I go by each meal, like to try to be good on each meal.
I'm out of here! Oh, man!
It's been nearly a year since 18-year-olds Michael Stanley and Alexander Rankin arrived on the youth unit at Wabash.
Hey, crosstown!
Today they transition to the Wabash adult population, where they'll trade a unit of 53 kids for a cell block of 200 adults. Prison staff say on transfer days, kids often mask their fear with bravado.
Remember, the secret word is no.
I got you, Granny. Uh-oh. Feel like I'm going home.
Master control.
Almost taking to the south side, bad moves.
So what we gonna do? Just basically just sit back, chill, see what's going on? Yeah, for about a week.
It's clear.
We adults now.
Whoa.
Uh-oh. We legal.
Yeah.
How long they been locked up? Too long?
Right here goes the door on the left.
People don't know much about prison except what they see in movies and stuff like that. But the food's horrible. You gotta wear a jumpsuit every day. You only come out of your cell a couple hours every day. You gotta be on guard all the time. You don't know what's gonna happen. You don't have any freedom. Freedom's the worst part.
Right here goes the door on the left.
For the next few years, M cell block at Wabash Valley will be home for 18-year-olds Alexander Rankin and Michael Stanley.
Small. It's small as hell.
I mean, you know, you're gonna get the people in the blocks that want to fight. You probably got a lot of time and really don't care about other people. I'm just, you feel me, people's person. Like, I get along with everybody, you know what I mean? I catch on myself very quickly, so I'll be able to know, you know what I mean, which was going on, so one don't really get past me.
Well, they're going through probably feeling extremely paranoid that a lot of guys are checking them out. You know, that's no lie. I mean, for me, I was 15-year-olds and baby-faced. I mean, at the time, you know, you have the guys in for sex crimes that have molested, you know, guys my age, you know, and I'm doing time alongside them. I'm in the shower with them.
Well, when I was 21 years old, walking in to be a correctional officer for the first time at the Missouri State Penitentiary, I was petrified, and I was just going in there to work. So obviously, particularly for a kid who's going into an environment like that, without question, it's got to be the scariest thing that they've ever gone through.
Step out, get some air quick.
It's extremely sensitive and crucial that you think for yourself and you do what you think is right and not what you think someone else wants you to do, that you know within yourself is wrong.
While Stanley and Rankin face new challenges in their adult cell block, 12-year-old Paul Gingerich has similar issues, even in a juvenile prison.
The difficulty is just keeping them safe. Typically, our kids are much larger, and they're the type of kid who like to mess or pick on the smaller kids. It is difficult. He is an easy target, even in a juvenile facility.
Do you think about Wabash at all and what that is like?
Try not to. I don't know really what I'm going to be expecting when I go down there.
For now, Wabash will remain a mystery to Paul Gingerich. But for others, like 18-year-old Robert Beeler, it's like a second home.
I always been in trouble. I've always been a juvenile. I've been in placements. I went to Vegas, went to boot camp. I mean, I always been in trouble.
Beeler landed in prison on charges of battery and threatening to kill a police officer. He's currently in segregation for starting a fight.
Okay, so name off for me all the people in your family who are in prison.
My brother Brandon, he's in Miami. My cousin Kenny, my brother Kenny, he's in G. My cousin Jamal's in G. My Uncle Williams, he in Hamilton. My cousin James, he's in the Forum. My Uncle Ricky, he's somewhere. I forgot where he at though.
Is your mom in the picture at all? Dad?
My father had killed. He died in front of me, my brother Kenny faced.
Your dad got killed in front of you? How?
Well, we was at the house, somebody knocked on the door. And my dad opened up the door. Dude was like, you motherfucker, pushed him, I guess, and he started shooting. My dad ran back in where we was at, and he fell on the ground.
He stopped. He started fighting for breath, and he stopped breathing.
How old were you?
14.
What did you do after that?
Made threats. That's all I could do.
It's a surreal landscape when you meet the young kids serving hard time in America's prisons. Inmates like Robert Beeler. In the juvenile system most of his life, Dad killed in front of him, 7 family members behind bars. Kids like Paul Gingerich, never even in trouble with the law, suddenly locked up at age 12, now serving 25 years in prison. You can't spend time with these kids and not ask the question, where did it all go wrong?
Growing up, I never really realized the path that I was headed. Like, it's not that I couldn't have seen it, but I just never took the time out. It didn't hit me until the judge sentenced me to 36 years, and then it's like, oh my God, the rest of my life could just be gone. I don't believe that there was anything that could have helped me besides for this.
There's a lot of people. It's like day one all over again. I just hope some of my friends are listening to me, Some of my friends that were out there running the streets with me and doing all those bad things that we did, terrorizing people. It could all change in one day by the stupid decisions you make.
As for Paul Gingerich, lawyer Monica Foster continues to fight to have his sentence appealed.
I would expect that we'll have an opinion by the end of the year or very early next June. We'll be asking for oral argument, and I will be making a pest of myself as best I can within the rules. This isn't a kid that we should say, there's no hope for you. It's unfathomable.
I like to keep things in perspective. I've almost been locked up a year now. And I remember what it's like to be outside, and do those things. And you got to keep that mindset, I'm gonna be able to do them again someday. You can't be thinking about negative things. And if you do, you're just gonna sit in here and destroy yourself every day.
For me, it took 13 years for me to actually say, and it sounds a little cliche, and maybe to me it sounds cliche because I've heard it so much, but to actually say I forgive myself, it took me 13 years. I could intellectually understand why I did it and tell a story about why it happened. I know what I was thinking back then, I know what I was feeling, and I know I didn't want to do it, but I felt trapped, and no one was helping, even though I was asking and pleading for help, no one was helping. And it happened, but I'm able to tell myself now that I have something to offer, that I like to think I have more to offer because I've been on both sides.
I'm remorseful for what I did, but it takes more than that. Once you've done something, you could say sorry all you want, but there was a crime done and you have to serve your punishment. You learn from everything in your life, everything you do carves, who you become. Like I said, if you do nothing, you become nothing.
Man, if somebody would come here and just give me a second chance, I'd just be so happy, because I know now that when I get out, I'm not ever messing up again, because I know what it's like in here, really, not just on TV, but really what it's like to experience it.
I don't wish nobody bad on nobody. I wish nobody would have to ever get locked up, but people do what they do, so all they can do is learn from what they done. But I'm just gonna say, next time you see me, it's gonna be out there somewhere positive, though, for sure. That's really that.
In a world that demands justice when the unthinkable becomes reality, there are no easy answers when that reality includes kids.
Outside Rick!
The United States has the highest incarceration rate in the world and remains the only nation to sentence its juveniles to life without parole.
Let's call Yardrick!
Is it a solution? Does it work? Do we care?
Dear crew, how have you been doing? I hope good. I was thinking about it the other day, and I'm definitely not the person that was described in that old newspaper article, but really, it wasn't far off from what I used to be. Sometimes I read that article, and it just seems crazy to say that was me. I was so lost. I've learned over the years that I'm a person of extremes. That can be a really good thing or a really bad thing. When you have a person like me on the wrong path, it gets bad quick. But likewise, if I'm doing the right thing, I can't be stopped. I can't really explain to you how a place like this can make a person feel. I can promise you that you never really appreciate how beautiful this world is until you've seen it from behind this fence. Someday when I finally get out from behind these bars, I hope I'll be able to show you and everyone else the person I've become. Until then, I'll work harder than ever to keep my head up and keep smiling. Sincerely, Miles.
Dear Karen, I received your letter tonight at rec. Since the last time you were here, I've changed a lot. Day-to-day life in prison is very taxing on your mental state. You really have to learn fast or you will get ripped off and whatnot, but I'm doing pretty good. It was funny, the other day I heard someone on the phone say she was dreading to have to spend 3 hours at her grandparents', and I was thinking to myself how wonderful it would be to be able to stay at my grandparents'. It amazes me how different life is in prison. It's like a whole different world behind these walls, and I remember how I was and think of how many kids are out there being dumb. They don't even realize it only takes one bad choice. That's all it takes to take away a good chunk of your life to this horrible place. If I could send a message to all the kids around the world, it would be something like this. You're not untouchable. Have fun and do what you want, but always think before you do something. Nothing is worth being locked away from your family, friends, and freedom. I'll go for now. Sincerely, Cole Lundy.